Saint Augustine, also known as Augustine of Hippo, was one of the most influential thinkers in the history of Christianity and Western philosophy. He lived between the years 354 and 430 AD, a time when the Roman Empire was collapsing and the world was changing forever. Augustine was not only a religious man, he was also a philosopher, a writer, and a seeker of truth. Before becoming a saint, he lived a life full of doubts, passions, and mistakes. He questioned everything: what is truth? What is happiness? Why do we do evil if we know what is good? His journey from confusion to faith became one of the most famous spiritual stories ever told. In his masterpiece Confessions, he shares his inner struggles and his discovery of God. It's one of the first true autobiographies in history, honest, emotional, and deeply human. Augustine's life and ideas shaped how we think about the soul, free will, time, and the meaning of love. His influence can be felt in both theology and philosophy, even more than 1,500 years later. He once wrote, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." This single sentence captures his whole philosophy, that true peace can only be found when we turn toward God, the ultimate source of truth and goodness. Chapter 2. A Short Biography. Saint Augustine was born in the year 354 in a small town called Tagaste in North Africa, today known as Algeria. His father, Patricius, was a pagan who later converted to Christianity, and his mother, Monica, was a devoted Christian who prayed for him every day. As a young man, Augustine was brilliant, curious, and ambitious, but also restless. He studied literature and philosophy, and for a while, he lived only for pleasure, success, and recognition. In his Confessions, he admitted how lost he felt during those years, saying, "I was in love with love." For nearly a decade, Augustine followed a belief system called Manichaeism, which taught that the universe was a battle between light and darkness, good and evil. But eventually, he became disillusioned. He realized that the answers he was looking for could not be found there. Later, while studying and teaching in Milan, he met Saint Ambrose, a wise and eloquent bishop whose words deeply touched him. At the same time, Augustine began reading the Bible seriously and discovered in its pages a depth he had never seen before. After a long inner struggle, torn between his desires and his longing for truth, he finally surrendered. In the year 386, at the age of 32, he converted to Christianity and was baptized by Saint Ambrose. From that moment, everything changed. Augustine abandoned his old life and dedicated himself entirely to God. He returned to Africa, became a priest, and later the Bishop of Hippo. He spent the rest of his life writing, teaching, and guiding others toward faith and wisdom. Among his many works, two stand out: Confessions, a journey through the soul, and the City of God, a vision of history and eternity. Augustine died in 430, while his city was under siege, but his ideas lived on, shaping Christian thought for centuries to come. Chapter 3. The Search for Truth Within. After his conversion, Saint Augustine began to reflect deeply on where truth can be found. For most people, truth seems to exist in the outside world, in what we see, touch, and measure. But Augustine discovered something different. The real path to truth begins within. He believed that our senses can deceive us, but our inner mind, our reason and conscience, can lead us to something eternal. Inside the human soul, he said, there is a spark of divine light that helps us recognize truth and goodness. In one of his most famous lines, Augustine wrote, "Do not go outward, return within yourself. In the inward man dwells the truth." For him, self-knowledge was not just about understanding who we are, it was a spiritual journey toward God. When we look inward with honesty, we find more than thoughts or memories. We find the quiet voice of truth that comes from above. He compared this process to opening a window in a dark room. The light was always there, but we needed to turn inward and open ourselves to it. In this sense, Augustine taught that philosophy and faith were not enemies, but companions. The mind searches for truth, and faith illuminates what the mind cannot see on its own. For Augustine, every step we take inward, through reflection, reason, and humility, brings us closer to God, the source of all truth. Chapter 4. The Divine Illumination. For Saint Augustine, human reason was powerful, but not perfect. He believed that the human mind by itself could not fully reach the truth. To truly understand reality, we need the light of God to illuminate our thoughts. This idea is known as the theory of divine illumination. Augustine explained it with a simple and beautiful image. Just as our eyes need sunlight to see the world, our mind needs God's light to see what is true. Without that divine light, we can reason, but we remain in partial darkness, confused, uncertain, and often led by pride. He wrote that our understanding becomes clear only when it is touched by God's truth, which shines inside us like the sun shines on the earth. For example, imagine trying to read in a dark room. You might recognize the shape of the letters, but not their meaning. Only when the light enters can you truly read. In the same way, only through God's illumination can our minds see the truth of things. Augustine believed that this divine light is not something external. It is within us, because God is within us. When we seek truth sincerely, we are already responding to the light that He has placed in our hearts. He wrote, "The mind needs to be enlightened by light from outside itself, so that it can participate in truth." For Augustine, learning was not just a process of collecting information. It was an encounter with God's presence inside the human soul. Chapter 5. The Problem of Evil. One of the biggest questions that troubled Saint Augustine was, if God is good and powerful, why does evil exist? Before his conversion, this question deeply disturbed him. He could not understand how a good creator could allow suffering, injustice, and sin in the world. But later, through his reflections and faith, Augustine found an answer that became one of his greatest philosophical insights. He realized that evil is not a thing that God created. Evil has no substance, no true existence on its own. Instead, evil is the absence of good, just as darkness is the absence of light. He wrote, "Evil has no positive nature, but the loss of good has received the name evil." To Augustine, everything that exists was created good by God. When something becomes evil, it is because it has turned away from goodness. Like a shadow appears when something blocks the light. He used this idea to explain moral evil as well. Humans do evil not because God made them that way, but because they misuse their free will. We are free to love God or to turn away from Him. When we choose selfishness, pride, or desire instead of love and truth, we create the absence of good, and that absence is what we call evil. Augustine also believed that God can bring good even out of evil. Suffering and sin, when faced with faith, can lead to growth, humility, and redemption. In this way, even the darkest moments of life can serve a divine purpose. For Augustine, understanding evil was not about blaming God. It was about understanding the mystery of freedom, love, and responsibility. Chapter 6. Free Will and Grace. Saint Augustine believed that God created humans with free will, the ability to choose between good and evil. This freedom is a gift because it allows us to love, to grow, and to take responsibility for our actions. However, Augustine also understood that human freedom has limits. Because of sin, our will is often weak, confused, or misdirected. We might want to do good, but without God's help, we often fail. This is where divine grace becomes essential. Grace is God's help, freely given, that strengthens our will and guides us toward what is truly good. Without grace, human beings cannot fully return to God or achieve true happiness. Augustine explained it with a simple image. Our will is like a ship's rudder. It can turn, but without God's wind, it cannot move. In other words, humans have the capacity to choose, but only God's grace gives us the power to reach our ultimate goal, union with Him. This idea shows the balance in Augustine's thought. We are responsible for our choices, but we are not sufficient by ourselves to live perfectly. God's grace completes our freedom, making it possible to love and act rightly. For Augustine, this was not a limitation, but a gift, a partnership between human effort and divine help. Chapter 7. The Power of Love. For Saint Augustine, love was at the heart of human life and morality. He believed that every action is guided by love. The key question is what we love and how we love. True happiness comes from loving God above all things. When we love God first, everything else in life falls into its proper place. But if we love the wrong things, money, power, pleasure, our love becomes disordered and leads to sin. Augustine often emphasized the transformative power of love. He wrote, "Love and do what you will." This may sound simple, but it is profound. If our love is rightly directed toward God, our words, actions, and choices will naturally follow goodness. Love becomes the guiding principle, the compass for our entire life. He also taught that love connects humans to each other. We are called to love our neighbors as ourselves, not as a duty, but as a natural extension of loving God. In this sense, love is not just an emotion, it is the force that orders the universe and human life. For Augustine, love explains everything. Our desires, when rightly guided, lead us to God. Our mistakes, when recognized in love, can teach us humility. Our freedom, when directed by love, fulfills its true purpose. Chapter 8. The City of God versus the City of Man. In his famous work, The City of God, Saint Augustine described history as a struggle between two cities or ways of life. The first is the City of God, made up of people who love God above all else. These are the individuals who live according to faith, virtue, and eternal values. Their ultimate goal is union with God, and their city is eternal. The second is the City of Man, made up of people who love themselves more than God. They focus on worldly desires, power, and pleasure, often ignoring moral and spiritual truths. This city is temporary and destined to pass away. Augustine believed that these two cities coexist in the world. History is the story of their interaction, conflict, and influence on human society. For example, wars, injustice, and corruption are signs of the City of Man. Acts of charity, justice, and faith are signs of the City of God. Augustine's message was clear. Earthly life is temporary. True fulfillment and peace are found only in God's eternal city. He wanted people to understand that our choices matter. Every decision to love God, to act with virtue, and to care for others contributes to the City of God within the world. Chapter 9. His view on time. Saint Augustine also reflected deeply on the mystery of time. He asked himself, what is time and how does it exist? He realized that time is not something independent or absolute. Instead, time exists in the human mind, in how we remember the past, experience the present, and anticipate the future. The past exists in our memory. The present exists in our attention. The future exists in our expectation. He wrote, "What then is time? If no one asks me, I know. If I wish to explain it, I do not know." This shows that while we live in time, we cannot fully define it. Only God exists outside of time, in eternity. For God, past, present, and future are all present at once. Augustine's insight teaches us that our experience of life is shaped by how we perceive time. It reminds us to live in the present, learn from the past, and prepare for the future, while understanding that ultimate truth is eternal and beyond time. Chapter 10. Legacy and Conclusion. Saint Augustine changed the course of Western thought and Christian philosophy. His ideas about the soul, truth, love, free will, and time continue to inspire thinkers, believers, and seekers of meaning even today. He showed that faith and reason are not enemies, but companions. The mind can search for truth, and the heart can be guided by love, together leading us to God. Augustine's life also teaches us an important lesson. No matter how lost, restless, or confused we may be, it is always possible to find truth, peace, and purpose by turning inward and upward toward God. In his Confessions, he wrote, "Late have I loved you, beauty so ancient and so new, late have I loved you." This sentence captures the essence of his journey. The human heart longs for God, and only by seeking him do we find true rest. Saint Augustine's work continues to live through his writings and teachings. He reminds us that the deepest human desire, the longing for truth, love, and meaning, can always be fulfilled when we seek the divine.